Call to order for the September 17th, 2024 for our 25 school board meeting. So we will all stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chair, please do the roll call attendance.
Yes, sir. Mr. Foster is not here, but we're expecting him to be joining us here soon. Mr. Burgess contacted me. He is, has an excused absence, as does Mr. Cobb. Mrs. Foster.
I'm present.
Mr. Brazier. Present. Mr. Nealon.
Here.
Mr. Wendell.
Here.
And Ms. Appleton now.
Hi, here.
Chair, please do the roll call.
Hey,
attendance. Anybody would like to make a public participation, you can do it
It's not
by
here. We're
email
expecting him.
and public comment at rsu25.org. Or you may phone in the public comment at 307-8099. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
We have no adjustments to the agenda.
Fantastic. Approval of the minutes for August 20th, 2024.
I move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and all those in favor? Somebody join us.
Oh, you're a natural.
Yeah, wake me up here. Do we have any communications or correspondence?
Yes, so, you have a report here for communications. We did receive, and I included this in my report as well, we received notification from the Department of Education in response to our application for the CTE bond. So if you remember, we put in, we put run this through the facilities committee and then came to the school level. We had put in a request for two projects that was wrapped up into one application. We had requested a robotics welding arm and a weld abatement system in our shop. If you remember, it's kind of a convoluted process that we had to go through because we are a satellite program for HGTC, where we house the welding program here. But it is an HGTC program that is run by the Ellsworth School Department. So we did the majority of the application here, like we filled it out, but it was actually submitted by Amy Bowles, the superintendent of Ellsworth. So it ended up being a $216,000 request that we put into those two items. The well abatement system, basically, air exchange, so we have to replace here, something that we were gonna have to do probably within some sort of capital improvement plan or working with HGTC just to budget for it. So we figured we would try to take this opportunity. This CTE bond request number is bond is 100% forgivable. So legislation passed last year. They had $20 million appropriated for CTE schools to apply for programming, for money to make sure that their programming can continue to meet students. So the communication that I included in the packet let us know that we received, that we were one of the top applications that were in. So that was the good news. I found out through a follow-up meeting with the DOE and Superintendent Bowles and Mr. Tracy at HGTC that we were actually partially funded. So we did not receive the money for the robotic welding arm. We did receive the money for the weld abatement system. So good news, bad news. I mean, obviously that the weld abatement system is something that we're gonna have to do regardless, and that was the most expensive one. That's $135,000 system that we will be putting in. The revised welding arm, the reason that was turned down, they said that was something above and beyond what we needed to meet the current industry standards, which I understand. I push back and kind of disagree because I think that is not the future. That is what is happening right now. And the industry is telling us they need people to be able to operate and program for this machinery, but it didn't matter that I pushed back, we still didn't get it. So the next steps that we have, so this is not a complete done deal that we have it. For us to receive the bond with the main bond bank, we actually have to get approval from the Ellsworth Town Council, because they are the one that will actually be taking out the bond through the bond bank. Even though it's gonna be happening here. So we will be working with them, make sure that they understand that it is 100% forgivable and go through that process. If everything goes through, they approve, we submit the final application to the DOE. We would not receive the money until May of 2025. So this will be a next summer or late spring project, to have all ready for the following spring. The strange part about this is that exchange system is actually HEPC's and not ours. So if for some reason, they were to ever build a brand new facility
They can rip it out. of
and
ours.
the welding program was to move from here to the new facility, we would not necessarily be entitled to do that. That's something that they could say that they want to take in. That I think a future problem that we would just deal with at that point. I don't think that's worth us not pursuing, what basically is a pretty, well, system. So, so this is really just kind of an update. You had granted us permission to pursue this, money before, so we've gone through the first step. And again, as long as we get through the town council, and elsewhere, we get that application, we'd always.
Any other? That's it. John, answer superintendent's report.
I got a report, the rest of it was just really kind of talking about, the start of school. Again, I just really want to commend our administrative team, and their staff that put in a lot of work to get school on the road here. I think there's always a ton of excitement when students come back, and that excitement is great, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into getting that first day to be ready. So everything, and again, the custodial staff did a great job, the schools look great. So a lot of excitement. Our enrollment is up, as you see from this time last year. And we're still getting enrollments. We had a couple more today. Another one at the high school. And so I kind of give you the breakdown by building there. Aaron, the number of seniors you have is over 100, I believe, right? 100.
Wow.
Wow. So we have a big senior class, have a big freshman class as well. And Mr. Ward is going to talk about an increased number in the remote pathway too. So
It was 80 last year for seniors, right? Right around 80, 85?
yeah, that's typically where we are, somewhere in the 80,
Yeah.
mid-80s range. So
Thank you. Well, there will be no board chairs report. So committee reports, curriculum.
All right, well, we met last Thursday. We hadn't met for a few months, so we reviewed a lot of stuff that I think is gonna come up in this meeting anyway in their report, so I'll be very brief. Christina reviewed with us the curriculum review cycle and where they're at with that. Aaron went over the BHS, ELA, AI philosophy, and I think he's gonna talk about that tonight. Then Christina talked about the EFEA grants and gave us an update on those. And it looks like we've received full approval for that, so that's exciting. RSU 25 curriculum office book club opportunity was introduced, and that's gonna be the anxious generation. So I think, again, she's probably gonna talk about that tonight. And then we had heard from Beth about the tier 3 school improvement status and update and her working with her coach. And probably she'll update us on that as well. And then we're gonna meet, it looks like on October 10th.
Thank you. I don't know who's here to give a finance report.
So the finance committee did not meet, because we did not have enough representation yet, but Katie's gonna give us just a real quick update on the finance.
So just a quick update, you have the finance documents in your packet. In the drive, you also have a detailed by account number. If you want to look at it, if you want a paper copy, let me know and I can get you that. But right now, we're just getting school started. There isn't a lot to discuss. The lines you do see being used significantly are the lines for all of our subscriptions, our dues and fees. Those are the lines that you're gonna see get hit right now the most, then level out as things go. But other than that, we are pretty much on track of where we should be right now. I did call the 630 numbers. I did give you an update last month where we ended up on 630. Numbers have not changed significantly enough for me to give you another update. I would assume that we would have better final numbers in October. But if anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Policy committee.
David.
So we do have,
Or Karen's also on it.
what's that? And Karen.
We're on
It's ranking members, so.
No, we basically talked about what, agenda item 4 and agenda item 5. So pretty much that's it. We're gonna be hitting those later.
All right, well, Danny, you're up for facilities and
Okay.
grounds.
We met last Thursday, the 12th. We received an update from Anthony. We discussed the advertised, custodial job at the Jewett School. The BMS cupolas have been repaired. Dr. Tripp covered the CPE bond details, which we discussed in length, and it was very informative. The BMS update regarding middle school siding project, or the BIMS update regarding the middle school project siding, trim work is progressing. New roof over the kitchen and the locker room's been completed. The projected completion is supposed to be by the end of October. The stairs to the HVAC system, the egress stairs, not the fire stairs, and no fire stairs. They're progressing as well. And as Anthony would say, the back to normal goal is to get the playground and the dumpsters back to the original location. As far as the next, we discussed the capital improvement plan. Some of the items touched were the VHS science wing windows, the Miles Lane classroom windows, the middle school roof replacement. That roof's been there for 20 years, and Anthony says it's gonna have to be replaced pretty soon. And we discussed potential paving projects, the heat pump in the old computer lab at Miles Lane. Anything to add? Dr. Tripp, and that's about it.
I have a question. In regards to the middle school, did somebody drop the ball on the mechanical services side of things that we had people on cherry pickers outside of kids' classrooms while they were there? I mean, that just seems like a terrible idea, but,
Well,
I mean-
actually, it was supposed to be done before school started.
okay.
Because of
They just-
lack of manpower and, you know,
Yeah.
they're having the same problem getting people to work for them, so it went.
So it was
further than
supposed to
should.
be
It was-
done,
yeah,
they
yeah.
ran into delays, because I just,
Everything was supposed to have been wrapped up before the start of
Okay.
school. The subcontractor, is one that has caused a lot of the delays just through lack of manpower and services
Another issue.
and other issues that we've had, so.
yeah, I just thought it was kind of inappropriate, well,
It is.
inappropriate to have,
Quite
like,
distracting.
you know,
Yeah.
big guys on big equipment standing outside of kids' classrooms while they were
I
trying to
know, I would have
learn.
been doing.
I mean,
I've been with
yeah,
you.
yeah, and that was kind of what was happening, I mean, so. There's
It
really
is.
nothing we can do at this point,
It's
it's,
so close to being wrapped
Just-
up, right?
The only, I mean, we had discussions about whether we were gonna shift everything to weekends and nights, but then we just had potential of extending it even further, and then weather potentially becoming an issue, so. We made, while it's not even close to ideal, it was the best choice, we think, to make sure we got it done as soon as possible. It has been very frustrating, and I would say talking with Kyle, he's extremely frustrated. Kevin did met with me on Friday, and it's just on, service again, we kind of some of the phrases, they've been a great partner. But that was not part of the original plan.
Okay.
It was supposed to happen all up, and just be doing trim work. This first week or two of school was supposed to be the worst case scenario, but unfortunately, it's not really.
are there any other plans that are gonna affect, like, students and kids that we can maybe reschedule if we know there's gonna be delays, because it's just, if you adding kids in the first week of school and then add some guy standing outside, you know, it's,
I know, right now, they're
But-
working on the second floor of the, like, the gymnasium, so that shouldn't be.
so they're, okay, so they're, okay.
Yeah,
I just know earlier they were, you know, right in kids'
I
classrooms.
watch every morning,
Yeah.
that hour, so I've been watching it.
Yeah,
They're listening.
so I just wanna make sure, like, you know, if they know they're gonna have delays, then schedule projects so that if it does run over, it doesn't affect kids' learning, I guess would be a recommendation that I would take going forward. But, okay.
That's good, thank you.
Wednesday through Sunday or something like that.
Thank you. HCTC committee did not meet because our scheduled date was so close to the beginning of the school year that Bill Tracy figured
We didn't need to. Yes. So,
And for old business, there is none. Okay, under new business. There's no resignation and retirements.
yes, so we received one resignation that will be happening on January 3rd. So Mike Garcon, special ed teacher for us. As soon as known, so he, after our holiday break, our winter break, he will not be returning. And we will be posting an anticipated opening for that tomorrow. And then for co-curricular, we have Matt McGinnis, EMS 8 basketball.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the resignations with regret.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Unanimous? Okay, and for nominations,
For nomination, so we have, and as I told you at the last board meeting, that we were really close to signing. We have done the conversation, so we just didn't have the official name for you at last board meeting, but Shelley Bowden, who has been working for us in the food service at the senior center. So works there on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Was working there just in the mornings. So we have combined that position with the food service director position. So we actually have just one position as opposed to having a food service director and then that 16-hour position. So we've just kind of wrapped them into both. And
So does her time get allocated between both cost centers?
so she's just gonna be one, so she'll be at the one rate of the food service director position, but she'll spend her time, still that 16 hours.
Which I think is what used to happen a long time ago when the program first started.
Yeah, it, what we will do, because that does free up, obviously, that other 24 hours that was, or basically the 16 hours, I could say. This, like this time of year, there's a lot of forms that come in for like the free and reduced lunch forms that have to be entered in. So, we've actually hired some some retired secretaries to come in and do some of that clerical work just as substitutes for days, to help fill in that gap, because she still has to run the senior center. So, we certainly feel like it's something that we will work by combining those two positions, be a little more efficient. Certainly something we will pay attention to, and if it doesn't work out, that we can make adjustments as we move forward. And then for coaches, you have Jared Copeland, BMS assistant football coach. And then we have a bunch of volunteers here, Phil Ash for football, Matt Morrison for BHS soccer, Amber McGuire, BHS volleyball, Emma Brzezowski, BMS soccer, and Ryan McHale, BMS soccer.
Are they doing this now?
Yeah, so a lot of these for the volunteers, for our past practices, we still run them through the volunteer background checks.
Oh, okay.
And so we run through all the stuff, we still bring them to you, but because of the timing of the meeting and where the seasons fall or anything. Yeah, if that happens to come in probably in between, we want to make sure the volunteers. And obviously, if anything come up in that background check, we just, or if it was questionable, we wouldn't do it.
Right.
Until it becomes, so, thank you.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, we accept the nominations as presented.
Exactly.
here we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, fun time here. Now it's time to select a delegate to the MSBA Delegate Assembly.
Got it.
And who did that last year?
So last year, we actually did.
I don't
have
think we had
some-
one,
We did the year
yeah.
before.
So
yeah.
Kieran's
The
going
year
this year, and I
before.
think we should delegate him.
That's what you get.
He would
So-
actually, I think he would actually find.
So what you have, I did separate from your folders, you'll see a form here that has the dates on it. So they have actually separated the delegate assembly from the fall conference. So the fall conference this year is on October 24th and 25th, which is a Thursday and Friday. The 19th is when the delegate assembly is,
I think they did that last year too, and you just attend virtually.
and it's a Saturday. So it starts at 9:30. We didn't have anybody from this group that was interested in doing it.
I
It is
also
a,
can't hear.
it is a longer time to do it. What's that? I will tell you what MSMA would really want representation from every school district and part of the regions. And it does have to be voted on by the school board if somebody wants to do it, approved by the school board, and would be representing our school board through this assembly. Obviously, it's important for us to have a voice at the table, but I also understand that it's a Saturday.
I know.
So, and again, we do have a situation where we're missing 3 board members, as well. I don't think we really want to, where it does have to be a vote in from the school board, I don't think that we should vote them in unless they.
No,
We
no.
have to do it today. Well, we will have another, we will have another board meeting before December. We have another meeting before the fall conference, but not before December.
Yes.
We'll make a motion.
They have to be registered by. The board meeting is that week prior.
I think it's
They
like
have
the
to-
Oh, the 19th. Oh, it does.
And then it's the-
Right, but I
We just sent
think
it a form
the
earlier.
form they're gonna have to have before.
Send out an email. Just send out an email to this
What?
one.
What we could do.
They will
is
want to do it.
We could, and I will put this, make sure that this is fine, if, I can put out an email to see if anybody is interested. If one person does decide what they want to, I can see if everybody's okay with that, I can have them fill out the form, we can take formal
I
action.
suspect if we get a volunteer, it'll be here.
We approve, but.
It'll be here.
Whoever volunteers.
tonight, invisible. Yeah, David or Tom ever done.
David has done it in the past, Abby was the last one, we did it, I believe, 2 years.
No, I didn't end up doing it. Was it Mary? That you,
Mary used to.
she did it and now she did it virtually. I was going to, but she did it.
We could take formal action on it in the October meeting, just so we can have it in our minutes. If you
Yeah,
guys are comfortable with someone does volunteer, that we can put their name forward through the form, you can have, you can register.
yeah, I think that sounds like a good thing.
So if anybody volunteers, we can find it on that form.
You gotta be kidding me.
Thank you.
Do the
Low man on the sofa.
Was that me?
I have to work on the Saturday before. I know I
She's
do.
after me. Okay.
So I would,
I'll be the alternate.
we should take the motion.
You're not.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd like to make a
well,
motion to
yeah.
table this until next
She's
meeting and talk about it
I'm
informally over
last.
email.
I'm just the best.
We have a motion to table this.
Oh, second.
So moved.
We have a second. So all those in favor?
Yeah, well,
Okay, now,
just before we move on, what I will, is that if you do plan on going to the fall conference, so on the 24th and 25th, we do need to know if you plan on attending, which days you plan on attending, if you plan on staying down, so that we can register you and we can get you, and I say by week, I will be doing that, so we're doing that for you, so.
Are you going?
So I will be going, I will be down there on the 23rd.
Email soon.
Yes, if you could email both of us and.
Okay.
Or all, okay.
okay, moving right along. It's got that time again for the 6-month update of the RSU 25 COVID operating procedures.
So you have the procedures in your packet. This will be the last time that we actually need to have this vote. So December, I think, Katie, is the date that we have to finish up all of our final observations and the evaluations that go along with it. But just until that happens, we have to have a plan that is approved by the school board every 6 months until we finalize everything. The plan that you have is been the same plan that we've had the last 2 or 3 times. We have not changed it. So my recommendation, and again, essentially, we have not obviously had to implement this plan at all. But we do need to have something. I think where's the last one, my recommendation is we just keep the plan as it is, not spend time revising it. And, it'll be the last time we see this agenda.
Will we?
What's that?
Will be the last time?
I
I hope
Let's
so.
hope
I'm surprised to hear now.
Well, it's because it's tied to money.
It's just
That's
tied
why.
to the grant, because we received, because we received the ESSER funds, we have to finalize out that grant. As soon as the grant is officially closed, even though we've used the money and put it places, we have to have.
I move that we keep this as it is.
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And opposed.
Interesting, what do you do now?
It's
But you'll have to
numbers.
do some math
It's
because
numbers.
it's, everybody's weighted differently.
When do we have that? This one, do you know, or-
No, it's
No,
$2 sports
it
and
was-
and Prospect, $2 sports is more than a
Yeah.
Verona and Orland. So I just
No,
want.
he's a Bucksport.
Yeah.
He's Bucksport.
I'm just, yeah, no, I'm.
Two
He's a
Bucksports is
Bucksport.
more than a Bucksport and a Verona.
Yeah,
Therefore, adding in me, math. Come on, math teacher.
No, I know, I just got used to it. Like it's
But
hard.
yeah, and you probably have to like actually write a number. Though I do like your people math.
No, people math. Bucksport, cancels out, Bucksport's way more than, Verona, we win. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I'm pretty sure no one's on the sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll carry from.
Well, I don't wanna pay that money back.
Okay.
Mass, I'll be all for it.
The operating procedure coming up, we did pass.
Good people math.
Okay, now, next is the first reading of policies, KF-R. Community use of school facilities, administrative procedures, EDC, use of equipment, and EBCE, equipment request form. I think only one of them had changed.
So for the first reading here, on the community use of school facilities administrative procedures, we had to update, the prices that we are actually charging people to use our facilities. And the big one was really on the technology. Item, because again, last time these were updated, was in 2017, I believe. And it just cost more money to run this. So, we've updated that when it's gone up to $47 an hour. And the other thing that we added in here is that we were gonna adjust these annually, because as we know that the cost of, services, it just is changing drastically. So what we will do is, that the superintendent will work with the business manager, and the representatives, especially from the departments. We will set them annually, we'll bring it to the policy committee for them to review. But
Will
that
be
would
adjusted annually or just reviewed annually?
adjust it annually,
Okay,
if they need to be adjusted.
okay.
So, a lot of these did not have to be adjusted, they were fine, the technology was the big one that we had to move up to $47 an hour. So what we don't want to be caught in a situation was if this had to go to 2 readings every time we wanted to change just the number. Then we're partway through the year, we'd be losing out on events, I mean, we have an event coming up in November. That's gonna require, technology assistance, so if we just adjust them annually, that's within our policy, we can make those changes, and then we'll just run it through the policy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then the use of equipment and the equipment request form, basically, these are 2 brand new policies. We did not have a way, for us to officially keep track of and allow people to use our equipment, when it makes sense. So for example, often we will have staff members or the town of Bucksport or town of Orland, or other community members, where they may need 75 chairs. And they don't want to rent out the 75 chairs. We're not using them on a Saturday. We can loan them for whatever event they may be having. But we really didn't have a way to guarantee that those things made it back. And then be able to hold them accountable for it. Or if they sit in the chair and the chair breaks and they get hurt, to kind of like free us up of any liability from the equipment that we use, all right? So basically, this is just a way of saying there is some of our equipment that we will be willing to rent out. That's gonna be run through the building principals, signed off by, whether it be technology department, sometimes we've rented out, we have a big speaker that you can connect the microphone to. I know Orland has borrowed that before. So we'll have someone, a school official sign off on it. And then it clearly states on the form, whoever is signing this off is responsible for making sure it's returned and replacing it if it doesn't get returned. That we're not liable for anything that happens while we're using it.
So could anybody use the middle school facilities to play softball or baseball?
So that's different. So we have, that's a facilities request for that.
Okay.
So facilities are different than equipment use.
Okay.
So equipment use, so we're talking tables, chairs, I mean, we have like I said, speakers, we have lots of things that we could lend out. That makes sense. It could not inconvenience a school, event, like if we were having an assembly at the Miles Lane School, Miles Lane would send out all the chairs that day. So that we were gonna need one, right? So, but facilities is completely different, because depending on what the group is and what the activity is, we may require insurance. Or if somebody gets hurt. So we do have people that have like, we've had a softball tournament for up at the Rose Street, but they have to provide liability insurance. Okay. It's not going to.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yep.
But that is a completely separate form that we've had in place for a period of time.
I helped you on the rec soccer program. We had to have insurance for that purpose.
That, but that's the only facility you have to worry about, okay, but
What's that?
the middle school field, that's the only field.
Right, but we still, all of the facilities, even though they're the town fields, so because we take them, we have them use a facilities request form. Mostly just with the organization and knowing who's on what fields. So we are tasked with knowing when is this softball field being used, or when is our baseball field being used, when is the football field being used. So we still track it through our facilities request.
You wouldn't want to.
We're like a subcontractor, you know, like.
Yeah,
On the varsity soccer game, the same time, the rec had.
right. And that, if you had the town doing it and us doing it,
Right.
you're gonna have,
Somebody's gotta be.
someone's gonna drop the ball. So we have just taken on the people do all the facility requests.
Okay, that summer basketball tournament they just had this year, is that through us or?
At the one of
Y
YMCA,
did.
yeah, they do a facility request form.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, anything that Y does, obviously they have a liability insurance.
They're alone in that, right?
And then I have 6 policies on there there were no changes. So as I mentioned, we're just trying to get the policies updated so that they don't say last reviewed in 2009. But there was no changes to these. We brought them forward to the policy committee. Basically just want to say that they've been reviewed. We can update the date on it. Let's say 2024, I suppose.
Well, can I have a motion for both the first reading of policy and the policies for review?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Everybody is here. Second reading of policy.
So, yeah, so these are all the Title IX policies that we brought forward last week. If you remember, these policies were very robust, but they were all boilerplate from MSMA that had their legal counsel go through that. This is all in response to the changes in law surrounding Title IX. And so there were no changes since then.
I have a motion to accept the second reading of the policies.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Keeps coming.
I think I started that.
I thought we
It was like a really long one.
Yeah.
Okay, we have. Okay, this is where my, Tom always has a little list. Okay, administrator and principal reports. Why don't we start with the Jewett School first? I'll start from the bottom.
The youngest.
Yeah.
Not the bottom.
I got this.
Oh, where's our podium?
Can I grab the podium?
Yeah, very.
You want help? Are you Bruce? Okay.
Yeah, we-
This is a test.
Third.
Where do you guys want it, right there? Okay. I mean, it's not like I'm really standing behind anything. It's clear. Okay. Usually I get to what, thanks, Scott. I don't wanna speak for Darcy, but I know that they're doing basically the same things, everybody's getting settled in. And I think it's been a good few weeks this is day 14. And the kindergartners are settling in, the pre-K kids are there. So now we're moving to that next phase where we're going to be doing academic and behavior screeners to see where they're at. Get some benchmark assessments there. The open house was great, well attended. I do not have hard numbers, but I can say that it's probably about 75 to 80% participation, at least at the Jewett School. I'm not sure about Miles Lane.
but I was amazed. I think Christina and Josh were there too. Like, we had parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles coming with their little 4 and 5-year-olds, and I was like, where's the kid? Like,
Yeah, right.
like, I see all these adults, and then there's one kid. So it was pretty exciting. So, we had a lot of people go through Jewett that night. And probably, excuse me, the highlight that I have for tonight is, I'm really excited, and I'm sorry that she's not here, but, Kathy Pelletier and I have been working together to try to form like a partnership to get some more offerings out into the community for good old fashioned parent classes, I guess you could say. And we're working through a contact that she has with the Gear Network, which I didn't know what that stood for. It's Gaining Empowerment Allows Results. I'm learning more about what that program can offer, but they gave me a whole list of different types of parenting workshops that they can provide. And I gave copies out to the staff. I said, what do you think are the top 5 that we need for this age level? And I sent that information to Kathy and this woman, and she's already gotten back to me. And so we're going to hopefully have more opportunities to have parents come in and learn things, you know, be self-care, but also like, how do I manage or de-escalate my child when they're having a meltdown? So we're really hoping that we get, you know, with our partnership with Jewett, we can put it out and Reach My Teach or Seesaw, parent newsletters, those types of things, just to try to get more participation, because that's something that Kathy said hasn't really gone over as well in the past years. So that's what I'm really excited about working on.
Are there any questions?
Will there be low cost or free classes?
And that's, again, I wish Kathy were here. I'm not
Right.
sure how that would work or how they would get credit for it.
We can move the table this, that's fine.
Hmm?
We can move the table that.
Yeah. So, hopefully,
Exciting.
like, and she said, the woman, her name is Shannon King, I think, that they can do like maybe like 1 workshop per month. So we're looking at, you know, quite a few opportunities to get parents out there. And I'm hoping to do more volunteer training, trying to do like maybe 1 a month. That's definitely something I'll be pushing to those parents that are volunteering, like, you really should try this class, kind of thing. So, any other questions?
Is pre-K enrollment typically this small at the beginning of the year, or is something going on, or?
If you have an answer to that, I would love, yeah, we've been kind of looking for why the numbers are small.
We don't have a great answer for it. You know, DCP is working, and then, you know, they are, you know, we don't even have a lot of 3-year-olds that are, I think. So I think the last number was 30.
35.
So, right, as of right now, we have 35 pre-K students. Those are 4-year-olds. And because there aren't any other applicant or people looking for 4-year-old programs, DCP has opened up to only, obviously, because we don't have a 3-year-old program, it's just income eligible through Head Start for 3-year-olds. And the number is low for them for that program too. So, you know, not quite sure what's going on, but
Kindergarten screening should be easier.
Yeah, it's certainly something we will track up, and I think it's something that we see as a pattern, like with our science next year. And start looking at some community surveys, try to find out. What is the reason?
They got wins there, so.
I mean, the benefit of it is a little quieter in the building. But no, I would prefer to see those numbers go up, but
Thank you.
Is there a limit or is there like an end date when people can apply to come into preschool, or is it pretty much all year?
I think it's,
That's all we have the capacity.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think it depends on the age, right? Cause like, you can't be in the 3-year-old program until you're 3, so if that happens,
Is that how the 3-year-old program works?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah,
And then,
there's that, what is it, October 15th?
or if you don't qualify and you have to go to the 4,
And then. but we
Your
also have-
birthday's in
we have
March.
initially, like, we could have this program that we open up to 3-year-olds for that classroom, but we only have 3. It's not really in DCP's best interest.
Yeah.
To, I mean, it still costs money to employ someone.
Oh,
to
yeah.
run that program.
What's the,
So
what's
for
the
them
number?
to-
3-year-olds right now?
I'm not, I think they screened a couple of kids today, I think there's one more, but they're also doing recruitment kinds of things, they're waiting to get, and of course, I'm learning a lot about this whole relationship and how it works with the Head Start program and everything, but, I think, you know, they're going by federal guidelines
Sure.
for income, whereas the main, minimum wage is higher than, but they're also, the director told me just the other day that something about they're gonna be able to figure in like the cost of housing or something, like they're looking at other ways to try to get people qualified. Because,
Oh, cause it isn't, it's a,
because now,
On the DCP side.
yeah, on the VCP side, so, yeah, so the numbers that are actually qualified for Head Start are low.
And typically, we have more 4-year-olds and like 3-year-olds are on a wait list, and we try to get those, and because we don't have the 4-year-olds. It makes sense to create a 3-year-old classroom,
sure.
because they obviously have different developmental needs. And our numbers are fine for the other 3 classrooms, but. We can't, I really, I said, DCP can't physically down a classroom, it's only 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make any sense, so, obviously, if they get that number up and then we can recruit and, you know, yeah, very good. Something, so.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Did we figure out the childcare stuff? Did we help out with that?
Yes, yeah, we've been running the last 2 weeks to start with, is what we've been running. It's a lot to do. And so far, so good, I was like, some, you know,
Good.
Hey, Bucksport Middle School, yeah.
Two 283, kind of similar to what it was. We're trying to build with our community different connections, and so our teachers are sending out postcards and having phone calls every other week with one child from each of their homeroom or classrooms. And I received 2 fantastic emails from parents that were just praising, Lisa Cirillo for one, and Jared Copeland, the other, for sending out just an email when they tried, so that just made me really happy. One of the moms said, my heart melted when I read this, and it was just so sweet. We have, in our planning, we're making a movie night, which we did last year. We're gonna do that again this year, and then our fall dance we're planning. And our fall dance is going to be, 5th and 6th together, and then 7th and 8th together. So we're working on those plans. And the 5th and 6th is going to be more like games, which was Aaron's
like the
idea.
same night but different rooms.
Yeah,
is that-
5:30 to 6:30 will be 5th and 6th grade. Then we have a half-hour cleanup, and then the 7th and 8th grade dance. Just to separate our, 5th graders from our 8th graders. And then we have, we found a fun game that's going to be used during our butt time, which pulls in the NBA to hook our kids. This is like not even on there, but on my form, but it's math NBA. And so it's a board game, and they have cards and there's spinners, and you draft your people and you have your team and you play, and you use all the math for statistics and everything. So it hand in hand with our 7th grade curriculum. So I just thought that was pretty fun. And then we have our tier 3, we're tier 3 again this year because they wouldn't let us out, not because anything was different.
I asked for a simple explanation.
Yeah,
I got a complicated one.
Uh,
Got it today.
Oh, and so when I asked Mary at our last meeting, she's our coach. She emails me like at least once a day, and she comes to visit. So she's a little overwhelming, and she actually erased all my data that I put in by accident. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so we are creating 3 goals, or are gonna do it again. 3 goals for NUIA, using NUIA as our data point. that our reading and our math scores will go up by 3%. In our PBIS, there's a rating that the students rate 1 to 4. And so they rated that they like school 2.4%. So we're gonna get that up to, we're hoping to get 2.75% that they like school starting at the beginning of the year. So it's kind of hard when we haven't put them all in yet, so we're trying to put them in our PBIS.
So but I thought they didn't want a PBIS goal, but
Our third goal is PBIS goal, but
it couldn't be like your major goal or your main goal, is that, okay.
not the goal of we have to come up with an additional one for them, not the one that's in our PBIS plan.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Up next, Aaron, Bucksville High School.
I don't even know where he is anymore. I mean, I moved so many times.
He's still here though, that's the
Oh,
important.
You got a copy of my report, really fantastic start to the school year. I just want to say thank you to everyone involved, students, staff, on just a really great start to the year in establishing the culture and climate, and just, the routines and the procedures and all that stuff goes into getting the school year up and running. One of the major changes or, updates, if you will, that I highlighted in my board report is something called orange passes. So we've made the move from a traditional paper pass to a digital pass system, which is fantastic price. You can't beat it. It's free, which we like. So we are in a pilot group with this orange passes through our existing Reach My Teach account that we have. And we've seen really tremendous results from this. From a student accountability standpoint, they're able to schedule passes with teachers during their study halls, to see school counselors. And on the reverse side of that, our school counselors and staff are able to schedule appointments for students to meet with them. So it's really just eased on the traffic flow throughout the course of the day, which has been tremendous. We've seen a reduction in hallway traffic. From a safety standpoint, it's also really crucial when we look at fire drills and emergency situations. We know where every student is if they're signed out of their normal classroom, where they are in the building. So it's really been a positive update, and one that I'm thankful for Jim Morrow for all of his support. And I'll keep you updated as the year goes on. And the only thing they're charging us is really feedback. So we just need to keep giving feedback to Orange Passes over the course of the year, just on improvements and necessary updates there. So it's been a really positive for our school to start the year. Just want to highlight also our remote pathway and give a big shout out to Mrs. Kanan on her hard work in building that pathway. As of, fresh off the presses here, we are looking at 30 students currently enrolled in our remote pathway, which, last year we ended with 44. So we're ahead of where we were last year at this time. And we have around 12 of those that are fully enrolled, with the others kind of accessing classes as needed. And I know the goal of this program was to also reintegrate students back into in-person learning. We've had a couple of students transition back from remote learning last year into in-person this year, and we've had tremendous success there as well. So again, kudos to Audrey and all she's done. And we're also starting to see a few more homeschool students and families start reaching out and trying to access the program as well, which I know is a long-term goal of that. And we're starting to see those numbers. We're currently at 4 with the addition of a 5th one today. So good progress there all the way around. And it's really just going forward. How can we continue to support those students that are coming back in person? And also how can we, reach out to community members to let them know that we do have this program, which is, flourishing and doing really well. So last thing I'll touch upon, I know you mentioned this, Abby, as well as our AI philosophy. Our ELA team came up with a philosophy around AI, just really looking at, embracing AI, but not at the expense of sacrificing skills, problem solving, critical thinking. So they've adopted this philosophy, shared it with families, embedded it in their syllabi, and has had a really positive impact. And they're referencing this philosophy over and over, and giving students, opportunities to model proper AI use, which has been a fantastic success for them. So, it's busy, lots of stuff going on athletically. We have homecoming coming up October, the week of, September 30th. So that week it's coming. And then we're also looking ahead to mid-October and preparing for NWIAs and PSATs. So lots of busy stuff, but again, it's been a great start.
Aaron, what's the AI philosophy? Is it more of a reference tool or beyond that?
Yeah, it's just a written statement that they have embedded in their syllabi and that they reference a lot. Like, for example, on every summative assessment, they have this philosophy that's there, and they also post ways that students could acceptably use AI with that given assignment. So it's, we acknowledge that AI is a tool, it's not going away. We want to embrace that, but we also want to teach students how to use it properly. So they're all about modeling that proper use and doing a fantastic job of that. Every assignment, you know, will have, hey, this is an acceptable way you could use AI for this given assignment. And it's been a great success.
I think, Daniel, what's important about this is it's a way for us to start figuring this out, without generating policies that we really don't know how to live.
Right.
I mean, people are working on it, but we all know bad policy causes as much problems as a great policy.
Well, and we're working within existing policies too by releasing this.
Not specifically to AI.
Not specifically, but it already works with some policies we have in place.
Have we talked to other schools or other systems that, of what they're doing?
Yeah, I don't know that a lot of schools have adopted a policy per se. I mean, a lot of schools, again, philosophies, practices.
Everybody's hesitant
It's good.
because detection tools are not great or expensive, and just something that we don't want to go down the road of because it causes a lot of issues. It's hard to write policies like you can with a plagiarism policy, right? So plagiarism is pretty straightforward. People find something they've stolen off the internet, is plagiarism detection tools out there, you can tell real quickly if somebody's plagiarized, and then we have steps that you take. It's an academic dishonesty policy, you know, the steps that we can take there. It's harder with AI, and I think that's what this philosophy really is speaking to, is that we know this exists. And we think that there are ways that you can use it to enhance your learning, this is how you can do it. But it doesn't agree to, it's not, if you do this, these are the punishments that are gonna happen. We're really trying to steer clear of that because there's no good way to do that right now. So it's really more, how can we separately use it and how can we get it?
And I was just thinking now, Jim may be able to answer this later, but are there tools out there that teachers can use that can actually pick up AI practices?
They're not great yet,
Right.
but with the help of AI, they'll get there.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of our teachers are relying heavily on, you know, old school writing samples, like, you know, traditional pen paper.
Right.
And then using that to.
Okay.
And could you help this non-technical old fellow give me more of a visual size? This orange card, is it something actually?
Orange pad.
Yeah, so Orange Passes,
Orange Passes,
the history of the name, and I won't get this exactly, but the history of the name is, the teacher that came up with this, they had a paper pass system that was an Orange Pass. So when she developed
They
this,
call it orange.
they just called it Orange Passes.
So is it something?
It's, yeah, so it's web-based.
It's like a virtual app.
Yeah, so it's web-based, so you
No.
sign into, you go to orangepasses.com.
Okay.
And all of our students, emails. to
Okay,
read my
so they
teacher.
sign into it and that's how it's, okay,
Yeah, so-
now I get more of an idea.
And we're able to see where students are, how long they've been out, you know, where they're going, which has been nice from that standpoint as well.
Is it like an app or?
Think of that way, it's a web-based.
Okay.
web-based, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any
Do they
other
sign
questions?
in once they get somewhere? Is that how you know where they're going?
Yeah, so when they get here during the day, right, they'll go to Orange Pass. If they want to make that request, they'll request their teacher, just like a normal pass, you wear it
Yep.
as a teacher.
Yep.
To put the teacher's name in, or they select the destination, so like if they wanted to go to the bathroom, they put bathroom. The default can be for a teacher to have one out at a time, and it will auto approve. So
Oh,
the teacher doesn't
okay.
have to approve everything.
Because Walter said that, he goes,
yeah.
yeah, I just have to wait for it to be approved, and I'm thinking, is the teacher like constantly looking at that?
So if it is during, you know, if a teacher's giving a lesson or one on a lecture, they may then, you know, say, hey, now's not a great time, but as soon as I'm done, I'll approve. So then they're making, so, it's been really great tool so far. So.
Thank you. Any other questions, Bernard?
Questions?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next up, Christina, curriculum.
Great, a copy of my report, just highlight two quick things. The first one is we have our state data from the spring of 2024 for math and reading, not for science yet. We do have math and reading finalized data, and so individual student reports, they're called ISRs. Those will be mailed home to families very soon. They'll come out of our office. So we're gonna be working on that. Thank you, Sue. So we'll get those sent out to families, and that will be student data from last spring. The science reports are due to be released to districts mid-October. So once those become available for last year's fifth graders, eighth graders, and juniors, we'll get those reports sent out as well. And I will be working to prepare my data presentation with that information for the board, hopefully by the October board meeting. I may not have science by then, but I'll at least be able to give you reading in that. And then the other piece that I just wanted to highlight that I shared at the curriculum steering committee and I wrote briefly about in my report last month is that I'm going to be offering a curriculum office book club opportunity to community members, parents, staff, and Buck Memorial Library and Bookstacks would like to co-sponsor this with me. Buck Memorial has gotten some copies in that folks can sign out if they want to take it out of the library and not purchase their own. And if folks want to purchase their own, Bookstacks is offering a 25% discount. So there'll be a sign-up sheet. I picked 3 dates, an October date, a November date, and a December date. I may have to change the October date because I was told that October 30th is likely going to be a soccer game, big one, I guess. I don't know, October 30th for the boys maybe. So I don't want to like limit, is it prelim or regional?
It's one of the.
This is why I'm your curriculum director and not anything to do with sports. And I'm like, oh, we can still do this, and I'm told maybe that wouldn't be a good idea. So I may adjust that date by tomorrow to the week before, and move it to October 24th, because it looks like the 23rd is also a sports subject. So anyway, we'll do our best to try to make it so that folks can participate. So I would love, we don't need to like vote on this, but I would love your support in this. And if you want to participate, more than welcome to do so. I'm just going to change the date on my flyer. There is a Google form that folks can fill out to sign up to participate. Yes.
Can you put a Facebook
Yes.
post up and share it? I think if you share it on the Bucksport main.
Yes.
Bucksport, whatever community threads, I don't know what's going on there.
Yes.
All of those.
Yes, definitely. So because this is a community effort, I will make sure to share it. Bookstacks and Buck Memorial would like to hang our flyer. That's why I did a QR code as well. So that folks can just scan it with their phone and it will take them right to the sign up sheet. And then I want to check with, just because I want to make sure it's community as in the whole district. And so I want to make sure I touch base with Warren, Verona, and Prospect, so we can get the word out in those locations too. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them, but if you hear people talking about it and you can put a little plug in for this is my first time doing like a community-wide book read, so I'm kind of excited about it. I think it will be a great way to start some community discussions about what we want for our kids for the future, not just in schools, but at large. Is there any questions?
Great idea.
Thank you very much. Up next, special ed, yeah.
You also have copies of my report. And I guess a few things that I would highlight that we've been up to in the office, especially, can you see me over my computer? Because I'm really too short for this podium, sorry. So a few things that we've been working on in the special services office, as schools prepare for the upcoming assessments, special education has to collect and share all the information about what particular students need in terms of accommodations, to get that organized prior to those assessments taking place. So we have been working on that in our office. And then we also last year, I think I shared with you all that we had our audit in terms of our paperwork compliance. So this year we got our feedback from the state, and now we'll spend the entire year working on perfecting our compliance, because compliance needs to be 100% of the time, right? So our first training, and it will, like I said, it will take place all year long. Our first training for that is September 25th. So I'm looking forward to that. Our office has facilitated 51 meetings so far this year. Just since the start of school, that's IEP meetings and also 504 meetings. And the other thing that I would share with you is enrollments are up, right? We've been hearing that. So enrollments of students who have special services are also up. We have 25 new students who receive special education services. And I shared the rest of those numbers there for you as well. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jen, with Aspire.
I'm sorry, I created a movie draft for you. They're joking.
And just a couple things to share. I think I mentioned last month we were getting ready for freshman orientation day, so that took place and went really well. Students got a chance to get their pictures taken with their aspiration and their new t-shirts. That was the Aspire NHS partnership. And I hear that the freshmen are still wearing their shirts, so, so that's good for building that culture for them. And we had our first steering committee meeting last week. We've started to review some of well, actually, we looked back at several years worth of data from our middle school and staff comments. And we've also done some preliminary work looking at the 12th grade and staff data from last spring. So that's informing the goals that we're going to set for this year and the future. And this year, we're really just methodically approaching each event because we know it's the last time we will have this version of Aspire to put effort into some of the pieces to make sure that they're sustainable. So far, we've been preparing for the scheduling of visits for Jordan's trying to map out a whole semester's worth of field trips now for the high school, the optional field trips for students so that they can see ahead of time what there is. So if they are picking one or two, they kind of have a feel for what's coming. And we're also we did a survey of all the types of things that we know of around the state that happen, like construction day, and like when is it, so that we can make sure that that's a day that we almost double book something else, so we're really trying to get a good feel on calendar for sustainability for those. And internships have already started for this year, and I've done a refresh of all of the language that needed to be updated in those, so that's good. And then senior info night is on Monday. So, when you see for families, make sure they know, but there's been a lot of publicity. It's been on Facebook and it's on the board and posters have just gone up. And I know that the guidance department goes around and speaks to each senior homeroom to make sure they know the amount of useful information that they get by attending that night. And yeah, I think I reported to you last year that the attendance was so high last year that we overflowed this library. So we're going back to the gym this year. And we've also been looking at sustainability at the elementary level for character elements. So Jordan and I met with Heather Rockcliffe and figured out a plan for incorporating the character element videos so that they could be transitioned into Heather's monthly work that she does. So we know that that's where that can live going forward. So we're up to. Any questions?
When you were going through your data in the past, I know last year was the first year you were able to do college visits with kids again, right?
We did some the year before as well, but yeah.
Okay, was there any correlation between acceptance and more kids going to college with being able to get back into visits again, or is that something that's not really tracked?
It's not looked at quite that way because we don't know, you have to de-identify the data. So we can't look at one person and what they chose to do. They're looked at as a group of this many did a visit, this many chose. So you couldn't match them one-to-one that way.
Okay.
But we are still
we've done some quick looks at this past year's data, and the evaluator just met with us once, so we're getting ready to have more detail from him. And we try to look to see where there are trends, or also if more kids are going to college, is it 2-year or 4-year, or is it, in every year, the shifts in some, students in the military, so it's all, there are a lot of variables, but it is, we do know that we've seen positive responses from students that they will say that they their teachers are preparing them, that they feel prepared, and that includes their opportunities to go places. So we know this senior year is the first graduating class that returns to the sophomore trip where everybody goes to the school.
Okay.
So we haven't seen that jump yet.
Okay.
That number was actually on the lower side because we hadn't seen that. This last year's senior class didn't go. They might have gone on individual ones, but they didn't do it as a whole class. So we are officially back to the seniors are back on track.
I just think it's like great to get kids in college and to show them what campuses are like. And
Sure.
I know it was great for me when I was in high school. I'd like to see it continue even, beyond.
Sure, and they were doing, the funds that were coming in before from Melmac, some of those were happening already. As well as, the middle school has started doing more of them.
Oh, wow.
So we've supported, 8th grade groups going to see campuses too.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
We stayed right around 70%, it was for like the last decade or so in terms of number of students that attend, like 2 or 4 a year. So that number is always good, but we have a hard time getting the data for, there's no great way to track it, is how many like complete their programs, or how many continue after 1 year. To me, that's where the real valuable data is, because we don't want them just to get accepted and say they go, and we want them to, finish it completely for other programs, so.
Yeah.
I just think they're doing great things, and I'd just like to see it keep going as much as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, that's,
You know,
those are the conversations we're
yeah.
having right now, is having.
How do we make this sustainable so that
Exactly.
it's just built in?
Yes.
This is the last year of the grant, yes, but. No, as part of our, we have committed to,
Oh, yeah.
keeping someone on to continuous post. Right, so that's gonna be the whole idea, is to build this system, so we are having those conversations right now and identifying which pieces are the stuff that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Study.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Jim from Technology. There it is.
Good evening. I did not give you a report this month. We were a little bit busy. But I'll make sure we cap a lot of the projects going into next year. I will say this is the best opening of school that we've had,
Okay.
going up and down the chain. One of our goals always, especially at the high school, is to get students off and running on day 1 or as close as we can.
I am so glad you got all those computers out, because Walter had COVID the first week.
So,
He was able to not fall behind.
and that's a perfect example, is ideally we have devices in all the student hands before school opens. And so, Mr. Tripp, myself, Mr. Ward all talked last year and this year and said, how can we streamline that?
Yeah.
So we normally have a choke point of paperwork, which is new students and freshmen, and a choke point of us trying to check out the devices. So we did a different methodology today, or this year. I think students that came up, they had the paperwork done, waited about 17 to 20 seconds for the device. We were able to poke them right out. The slowdown point was still waiting to get paperwork done. There's not a lot we can do with that. We'll look next year, we're doing a digital option to get it done ahead of time. Some other tools we can use to get more people on that immediate line. Because normally there's 5 of us and we're sweating like hogs by the time we're done trying to get it out. This time there were 3 of us and we were joking and jabbing at each other, trying to grab them ahead of each other. So it was a much nicer experience, I think, all the way around, except for Mrs. Sargent, who was the one doing our paperwork, because she's our keen eye. So we appreciate her every year, but especially at that point in time.
That's good news. Thank you. Are there any questions for Jim?
Thank
Very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Let's skip to the calendar and announcements. Curriculum committee, we have you scheduled for October 10th at 6:30 for central office. Is that still
Sounds good to me.
sound good?
I'll be there.
Okay. Policy, October 8th, 5:30, the central office. Okay,
That's good.
is everybody get the finance? Well, finance is always just before the school board meeting, October 15th at 5:30, right here at the high school library. Next school board meeting is October 15th at 6 o'clock at the Bucksville High School Library. Facilities meeting will be October 10th, 4:30 at the central office. And Aspire, October 10th, following the facilities committee at the central office. Wilfred? Okay. Now. We need to go into executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Section 405, subsection 6, Section B, for the purpose of discussing a personnel matter. We need a motion.
So moved.
Well, second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. All those in favor? And it is 7:11.
And the
That's lucky, right?
administrator's gonna head right out, right?
Every-
Good job, Scott.
I'm open to.
Good